What's up, bros? It's KZ here. Here in this video, we're going to be talking about all the matchups that I want to see this year in each division from the UFC. The most wanted matchups, just the fights that the fans want to see. None of this Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje bullshit. We already know the result of that fight. Gaethje gets chinned. I'm talking about the fucking competitive fights. I'm talking about the number one contender fights. I'm talking about the bangers. I'm talking about the shit that the UFC fans really want to fucking see. So stay tuned. We're going to get right into it. All right. First things first, we've got Manel Kape versus Joshua Van. You know, Alexandre Pantoja is going to be out for a little while, rehabbing that injury. I know, like, we've seen videos of him doing pull-ups. He's looking like he's in relatively good shape. But in the meantime, we should see Manel Kape versus Joshua Van. These guys need to get after it. They have a beef. Fucking Manel Titty Boy Kape, I mean Star Boy, Freudian slip there. We need to see Kape and this dude settle their beef in the cage. You know, Manel Kape had a pretty sick call out of Joshua Van after he knocked out Brandon Royval in round one in a fucking sick ass win. Like, who knocks out Brandon Royval in round one like that? Very few people in this flyweight division. If it's ever happened, I don't think it has. But yeah, Manel Kape calls Joshua Van out saying, "I'm going to change your fucking diaper, buddy." And I want to see these two go after it. It's going to be a sick ass striking fight. Manel Kape has hammers for fists. Joshua Van, some of the slickest boxing in the flyweight division. You know, his win over Pantoja was a fluke pretty much. It was just over in 20 seconds. Pantoja snapped his elbow back and it was over. Before we run that back immediately, I'm not saying that Pantoja doesn't deserve an immediate rematch. He does. But in the meantime, we can just run this. Manel Kape versus Joshua Van. If Kape wins, Pantoja versus Kape is a sick fight as well. If Joshua Van wins, he kind of gets that flukish victory, that bad taste out of his mouth and out of the mouth of all the fans. But yeah, Manel Kape versus Joshua Van is the fight that I want to see at the flyweight division. Moving on, we've got Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen. This fight has been going on for years in the making. Corey Sandhagen has been calling out Sean O'Malley nonstop for a couple of years now. Both of these guys are long and lanky for the bantamweight division. Corey Sandhagen, I would say, has the wrestling and grappling advantage for sure. Sean O'Malley has the speed advantage on the feet. Both of these guys are, long, rangy strikers. I want to see this matchup. I want to see how these guys match up together stylistically. Corey's the quiet guy, or he doesn't really talk too much shit. He just goes out there. He's socially awkward. He has his little funny videos that he posts on Instagram and stuff. Sean O'Malley, the complete polar opposite, got the flashy tattoos. People want to say Connor wannabe. He got the 6'9" tattoo. He's out with all these douchebag influencers and stuff. They're basically, they look the same for the most part with their skinny, tall white dudes, but they couldn't be any more different when it comes to the personality. And I'd like to see Corey Sandhagen go ahead and fight Sean O'Malley. I think that maybe he could implement a wrestling game. It would be a competitive matchup. I'd like to see it. They match up well, frame and physicality wise. And I feel like it'd be a sick-ass fight in the bantamweight division. We could figure out who's going to be next to fight Petr Yan. It could be a good number one contenders fight if Merab doesn't get that immediate rematch. But yeah, I mean, either guy with a win over the other would be undeniable for a title shot moving forward. If Corey beats Sean or if Sean beats Corey, there's no denying that they deserve the title fight against Yan or Merab. So that'd be a sick-ass fight. I'm looking forward to it. Hope it happens. Come on, UFC, fucking come on, get on this shit, get on it. All right, we know what we want to see as fans. This is a sick fight. Let's keep going. Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez, another bad blood match. These guys have beef from the UFC Noche press conference. These dudes were going back and forth talking shit. Yair Rodriguez saying Diego Lopez isn't a real Mexican. Diego Lopez was going culon. Like, you're calling me a pussy, motherfucker? And Diego Lopez has got a sick-ass mustache. He's not going to be fighting for the title anytime soon because the UFC wanted to throw him right back into an immediate rematch with Volkanovski for whatever reason. Terrible idea. But, we got Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. They're going to be fighting here soon to figure out who's going to be next for Volk. But in the meantime, we can get this bad blood settled by Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez. I think Diego Lopez whoops his ass, but Yair Rodriguez has the striking and the technique and the footwork to give Diego Lopez a hard time, but he doesn't have that same cardio as Volkanovski. Doesn't have that same grit factor either. And, Diego Lopez could try to take him down. He'd give Yair Rodriguez a lot of problems with that pressure and the power and just the tenacity, the will to win. So, you know, we've seen Yair Rodriguez get broken by Brian Ortega, you know, as he came back after getting his ass whooped by Yair. That was the fight where Brian Ortega was hopping up and down and rolled his ankle, and then Yair comes out and just puts a beating on him, gasses out. Brian Ortega comes back, gets a submission over Yair Rodriguez. Might have been ground and pound TKO. I don't remember. All I know is that Brian Ortega came back and got the win. But I like the way that these guys match up physically as well. Both guys are kind of long and tall for the weight class. Diego Lopez has more power in his hands. Yair Rodriguez has more power in the kicks, more just fluidity of movement and dynamic movement when it comes to kicking and you know, the crazy spinning elbows and all that crazy shit that he's thrown out there all the time. So yeah, I'd like to see these dudes settle it. I'd like the beef to be squashed. Maybe not squashed, but I'd just like to see these dudes beat the shit out of each other for 25 minutes in a main event. I feel like that'd be a sick-ass fight. Moving right along. Nobody wants to see Justin Gaethje fight Ilia Topuria. We already know the results. We know that Justin Gaethje is going to get fucking colded by Ilia Topuria. Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria is the fight to make at lightweight. It's the fight to make at 155. It's the most competitive fight in the division that everyone wants to see. Nobody thinks that Justin Gaethje has any kind of chance against Ilia Topuria. If anybody with a brain knows that, you know. I unfortunately picked Paddy Pimblett against Justin Gaethje. I was wrong. Justin Gaethje went out there and beat his ass, but I was also assuming that Paddy Pimblett was actually going to go out there and try to grapple and wrestle Justin Gaethje, who has shown that hole in his game. But this is the fight to make. Arman Tsarukyan, a high-paced wrestler, got power in his strikes, is going to give Ilia Topuria problems on the ground if he can take him down and keep him there. Ilia Topuria is going to have to, you know, really, really show out in this fight. They might just want to throw Topuria to Gaethje just so he can get his feet wet, you know, just coming back after that whole divorce shit that he was going on with his wife, or ex-wife, I should say. But yeah, man, this is the fight to make. This is the most competitive fight in the flyweight division, bar none, or not flyweight division, lightweight division, sorry. Lightweight division, bar none. These guys are going to go in there, beat the shit out of each other. Arman Tsarukyan is the, you know, most likely to beat Ilia Topuria. I'm going to be picking Ilia Topuria. I think he gets the knockout, but this is the most competitive fight. This is the most dangerous fight for Ilia Topuria. But, you know, the UFC hates Arman Tsarukyan because he pulled out of the Makhachev fight the day before. But when it comes to meritocracy, when it comes to who is the most competitive, who's the best guy in the division, it's Arman Tsarukyan by far. This isn't a Movsar Evloev situation where Movsar never finishes any fights and he's boring as fuck. You know, people like Arman Tsarukyan, he's been on a pretty cool press tour recently, just talking a bunch of shit, wrestling Aiden Ross's fat friends, wrestling MMA Guru, and he's always out there with Nina Drama doing a bunch of crazy shit. You know, he's viral, whatever. I know that doesn't really matter, but at the end of the day, he's more entertaining than fucking Movsar Evloev. He's actually getting finishes and he's in the public eye, which is important when it comes to, you know, star building and all that other shit that you want to see with guys that get title fights. But yeah, Ilia Topuria's got great grappling. He's got good wrestling that we've seen as well. To match Arman Tsarukyan, if he can keep it on the feet, Arman Tsarukyan is going to be in trouble. But at the end of the day, this is the fight that we want to see. It's the most competitive matchup to make at 155. Moving along, another number one contenders fight, Michael Morales versus Ian Garry. You know, there's a lot of talk about Kamaru Usman getting the next title fight against Islam Makhachev, which is a load of shit. That's just Ali Abdullah Sleaze trying to get a double paycheck for two fighters that he manages fighting each other for the belt. But, you know, if these guys fight each other with a win, either one of them is undeniable. If Michael Morales goes out there and knocks out Ian Garry, if Ian Garry goes out there and gets a boring decision win over Michael Morales, keeping his range and picking him apart for 5 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it is, they're going to be the next in line for the belt. Kamaru Usman is not going to be able to hop or jump the line just with a win over Joaquin Buckley. You know, Michael Morales, he has that explosive striking. He's one of the biggest dudes in the welterweight division, if not the biggest. Ian Garry, you know, he's got well-rounded skills. Nobody really likes him. He's kind of a douche on the mic. He has a terrible personality, but he's a great fighter. He's got solid striking. He's got solid wrestling, solid grappling, good footwork. Overall, he's a really good fighter. As much as I don't like him, as much as nobody really likes him, he's a great fighter. You know, that's undeniable, as unlikable as he is. And Michael Morales, he's always entertaining. You see this dude going out there, knocking people unconscious, knocking people the fuck out, brutalizing people on the feet. If anybody's going to knock out Ian Garry, it's going to be Michael Morales. I'm definitely looking forward to this fight. If they make it, they should. This would be a great number 1 contenders fight, and Kamaru Usman is not going to be able to skip either one of these guys in the line if with a win over the other. So yeah, this is the fight that I definitely want to see. I think that Michael Morales has the defensive wrestling to keep it on the feet, to force Ian Gary to stay in a striking match with him. Ian Gary probably has better cardio, and the longer the fight goes, the more I think it would favor Ian Gary. But we've seen him clipped by a guy like Carlos Prates in round 5, and Michael Morales, I'm pretty sure his punching power is going to carry throughout the fight. So yeah, moving along, I feel like the winner of this fight should be fighting Islam Makhachev next for the belt. Moving along, Khamzat Chimaev versus any fucking middleweight contender at all. Like this fucking dude, he's always talking about, oh, nobody wants to fight me. I'm going to move up and fight Alex Pereira. It's like Nasruddin Imavov is right there, you fuck. All right. And then the winner of Anthony Hernandez versus Sean Strickland is also right there, you fuck. I want to see this guy get either fight as soon as possible or get stripped, because this dude is just holding up the fucking division. I made another video about this, talking about how these inactive champions need to be stripped, and Khamzat Chimaev was one of them. He went out there and laid on DDP for 25 minutes and did absolutely fuck all with that performance. It was terrible, boring as fuck. Everybody hated it. That isn't, a part of the Islamic faith. But yeah, no, everybody hated that shit. Nasruddin Imavov is right there. Fight him. Fight the winner of Fluffy Strickland. Fight somebody. Fucking fight somebody, or get the fuck out of the division and relinquish the belt. You're holding up everything. So yeah, the way that Khamzat matches up against Nasruddin Imavov, that's a pretty sick fight. I like Nasruddin striking if he can keep it on the feet, which, is easier said than done against someone like a wrestler as dominant as Khamzat Chimaev. He can have good success with the striking. If he can make Khamzat work, not just, relinquish takedowns and just stay controlled on the bottom, we can maybe see Khamzat slow down, be open for big shots on the feet. Nasruddin Imavov, I feel like probably would be the most competitive guy against Khamzat Chimaev. And then we have Fluffy Hernandez and Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland, I feel like, will be the least competitive fight. I don't think that he beats Fluffy. I'm picking Fluffy in that fight at UFC Noche or UFC Mexico City or wherever the fuck these dudes are fighting. I see Fluffy getting it done. And then when it comes to Fluffy versus Chimaev, it's just he's at such a disadvantage when it comes to just the physicality and the athleticism. Like Fluffy, he breaks people down with his grappling, with his wrestling, but he's not going to have much success, I feel like, grappling or wrestling with Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat is just the superior wrestler when it comes to technique and just, like I said, physicality and athleticism. But if Fluffy can survive, if he can just constantly make Chimaev work, if he can just constantly try to improve his position, try to scramble, try to just fucking get in his face, just land shots off, just make it as gritty and as arduous of a fight as possible. Just really try to fucking wear on Chimaev's gas tank. He can, give him issues the longer that fight goes on. Or, Chimaev might just go out there, blitz him in round 1, and Fluffy Hernandez just won't have the physicality to stop him. He won't have the athleticism or the strength to stop that initial early onslaught. Sean Strickland, I feel like it would be the same thing. I don't think that he would have the ability to stop that early onslaught from Chimaev. Maybe he would. Maybe he does stuff a few takedowns. Maybe he does start putting that jab on him, starts doing that stupid fucking Philly shell and throwing some teeps out there. Sean Strickland, that's probably the least wanted matchup, I would say, out of these 3 dudes. I would say it's Nasruddin Imavov. Second, it's going to be Fluffy. Third is going to be Strickland. I'm sure for some people that give Fluffy more of a chance than I do, I would say that he'd be number 1 for some. But yeah, I want to see Khamzat fight fucking anyone and defend the belt for the love of Christ. All right, moving on. We've got Azamat. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm mixing these dudes' names up. All right, Azamat Murzakanov versus Magomed Ankalaev. Saying those 2 names back to back is kind of fucking difficult. A little bit harder than I was anticipating. The reason why Yuri Prochazka is not here, because even though Yuri Prochazka is one of the best, most exciting fighters that we've seen in this division, he's rumored to fight Carlos Olberg for the vacant belt. So barring those guys, I'm going with Azamat Murzakanov versus Magomed Ankalaev. I feel like, nobody really wants to see Magomed Ankalaev get near the title again. And I think that Azamat Murzakanov is a great guy to get him out of the title picture. This dude's just killing everybody with knockouts. He looks like he sells used cars. Like, the guy looks like an accountant, but he just goes out there and fucking colds people. He has incredible technique. He's got great power in his hands, got tons of knockouts. and I feel like he'd be able to put hands on Ankalaev. Preferably, this would be a 3-round fight. Give this guy every advantage possible over Magomed Ankalaev, who has the personality of a cardboard box and the fighting style of a fucking cardboard box. But yeah, hopefully we get to see Azamat Murzakanov get closer to the title picture. I was thinking maybe Khalil Roundtree versus Azamat, but poor Khalil, he's just gotten knocked the fuck out 2 fights in a row against Pereira and then again against Yuri. I want to give him kind of a break, poor Khalil Roundtree, even though that would be a banger of a fight too. But I like the way that these guys match up. Both guys are southpaw. Both guys are well-rounded. But I'd say that Azamat has the power advantage in the hands. And he doesn't really look like he'd be the most technical guy, but his technique is fucking incredible. I think that he can keep it on the feet. Magomed Ankalaev is going to be forced to strike with him. And, I like Azamat Murzakanov to catch him, get him out of the title picture, and, send Ankalaev to PFL. So yeah, I like this fight. This is a great fight outside of anything that you could put Yuri Prohashka in. Moving on to heavyweight, we've got Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Alexander Volkov. I feel like this would be a great number 1 contenders fight. I think there are rumors of Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane for the interim belt. But, if that's not happening, I like this as a number 1 contenders fight. We're going to see who's going to – I don't think that Cyril Gane deserves an immediate rematch against Tom Aspinall. He went out there and cheated and poked him in the fucking eye so severely that Tom Aspinall is going to need surgery now. So it's like, oh, you fucking blinded the champion. Here's another crack at the belt, you fucking French-fingered baguette fucking eye-poking fuck. So yeah, fuck that cheater. I'd like to see the winner of Volkov, Waldo Cortez Acosta, get a shot at the belt, even though, Tom Aspinall kind of smoked Volkov the first time. But he's gotten enough wins at this point where, he kind of he's worked his way back to a title shot. He got robbed by Cyril Gane. And, Waldo, he got that win over Derek Lewis. Very lackluster win. Like one of the most anticlimactic stoppages I think I could have envisioned in that fight. Even though I didn't envision it, I would have thought that these guys would have actually knocked each other out, being Waldo and Derek Lewis. But, let's give Waldo one more against the number 2 guy at heavyweight. He'd be undeniable after that at this point. But yeah, that's the fight that I want to see. I feel like these guys match up well. Both guys are strikers. Both guys are going to be on the feet, throwing bombs at each other. Volkov's the more technical and diverse striker with his kicking game and everything else. Waldo just goes out there and throw those fucking platano punches out there, papi. But yeah, I like Waldo in that fight. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really know how these guys would match up too well. He kind of got pieced up by Sergey Pavlovich, but maybe Volkov would get this win here, which would kind of be unfortunate for Waldo and his title aspirations. But if anything, he can just get back to the title picture in one win. Waldo's a marketable guy. They like him in the heavyweight division. He's an entertaining fighter. But after that last kind of a weird ass fight against Derek Lewis, I would say Waldo needs one more before getting into the title picture. They might do Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane for the interim. But yeah, bros, those are the fights that I want to see. I would say out of all of these, these fights, Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen, Armin versus Ilya, I would say probably Ian Gary versus Morales are some of the fights that I want to see most out of those 8 fights that I named. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you want to see those fights. Let me know if you think they're fucking bangers. Let me know about any other matchups that you have in mind as well that I didn't list off here, that I didn't name. But yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And peace out, bros. Have a good one.